This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a topic.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month, you gain access to not one, but two entire additional podcasts. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where Ben and I decide we don't feel like putting in any work, and instead, we're just gonna watch something and talk over it. And $2, only $2, gets you That's Hell You're Walking Into, a series where Ben and I dive to the bottom of the ocean and go to the Sara facility that BB sunk down there because she's just spiteful, mostly. Don't worry about it.
That BB, she's a character.
BB sure is a character starting a death game at the bottom of the ocean. Because it's a monthly series where Ben asks me questions about Fate Stay Night, Fate Grand Order, and the extended Naziverse, and I do my best to answer it. Hey, if you have finished Solomon, you have 1 week to do Fate Extra CCC, the event in FGO, for free. Otherwise, you have to spend rare prisms to do it anytime afterwards. Go do it. It's really good. It's the best event in the game, probably. So, yeah, there's my disclaimer for you. My weekly Fate disclaimer.
I have not finished.
That's fine. So you can spend 5 rare prisms and get it later, which you should have if you.
I think I do because I did the rerun of Summer and I got a bunch of them. I don't know if I got 5, but I think I got like a couple here and there.
You should have at least gotten like 6 or 7. Anyways, we're going totally off topic. This is also what the podcast sounds like. If you think that sounds like fun, head over to patreon.com/thegorge. Kick in however much you can. We appreciate every dollar from $2 to $10 to $50. Don't give us $50. That's the scam tier. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Rodsters, Ben's Delivery Service, Palm of Power, Jath Bedradus, Steel Condor, Niarbot, Red Lantern Reviews, Holy Star 64, Neon Hellcat, Patrick Perez, Roddy 1/2, Saturn, Alice Marks, Shia, Magus, Jack, Liam Lane, and that other one dude.
The list is getting very long. Thank you all very, very much. You help pay for bad gotcha habits as well, frankly. And I do appreciate that, because if I don't get Castoria at 5th anniversary, all that money that I've like squirreled away from the Patreon, that I'm like, I'm going to spend this on a video game for us to review at some point, right? I'm going to use it for something responsible. It's all getting used on Castoria. It's all getting used on. I'll buy course with every single red fucking cent, because I need that girl. I need to be meta. Ben, we're kind of talking about 2 things.
Well, yeah, I mean, so to kind of bleed out from Summer of Games, because Square Enix decided to have their 25th Final Fantasy VII event like half a week after
everybody else
Summer Games ended.
Yeah. So we recorded, and I was like, oh right, we still have to talk about the Square. And it's not even like the Square Enix show. You can't really call it the Square, because there's a little 10-minute little baby presentation that they did, and it was just like, this is for Final Fantasy VII. We're like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be dog shit. I was like watching it in my heart. I'm like, it's not gonna be nothing. I'm gonna get my hopes up, and I'm gonna be disappointed. And then I wasn't. I was thoroughly not disappointed whatsoever.
So this is and because of we're now entering the Final Fantasy block of the year.
This is like the final, because we gotta talk about the 7th anniversary show. This is also the Stranger of Paradise episode. And then also we're finally talking about Endwalker. 2 back-to-back Endwalker episodes. So I guess this is the Final Fantasy block somehow.
Yeah.
That's weird how that aligned.
It's final June to see.
Yeah, I was making my water before we recorded, and I was like, how do I turn that into a pun? And June to see is about the best I can get, and I hate it. It's awful.
And then that's going to bleed into July too, but there's no real way to do Final Fantasy and July together. Final Fantasy?
No. That's nothing. I'm sorry.
No, that doesn't work.
Unfortunately. The point is, so yeah, we're going to talk very briefly about the Square Enix show. Then we're going to talk about Stranger of Paradise, a weird, wonderful something.
Yeah.
So, real fast.
So, first things first, Crisis Core remake.
Crisis Core remake. Not only a Crisis Core remake, but I have played Crisis Core so many times and watched those cutscenes so many times because I like Crisis Core a lot. A shot-for-shot remake of Crisis Core. It's not like, you know how like Final Fantasy VII remake is a kind of reimagining more so than anything.
It's a remake.
Yeah. But this Crisis Core reunion, at least in this trailer, is the exact same cutscenes, but with just significantly nicer models and lighting. And it's bizarre. It's very, very weird to see that game with such high fidelity.
And I'm confused because that's the remake voice cast.
That is the remake voice cast. That sounds really bad.
Which, you know, they made a big deal out of like, oh yeah, we're recasting everyone because we want to differentiate from the, you know, the original compilation and this as its own separate thing. Which I'm taking as meaning that this is the FF7 remake of Crisis Core.
Yeah, I absolutely think, I mean, there is that one money shot at the very end of the trailer where it flashes between, it's the shot of Sephiroth in the fire and Nibelheim, of course. But it keeps cutting between himself and like a younger version of himself.
Yeah.
You know, now it could be a younger version of himself. I saw a lot of people on Twitter getting very excited about that. I'm here to tell you guys, it could also just be a Sephiroth clone. Folks, it might not be a younger Sephiroth. It might just be a whole new character. I hate to tell you that.
Yeah, it's... because, you know, I'm just... The whole time, because like we also saw gameplay, and it looks like the same gameplay as the PSP game.
Yeah, which is, I mean, because it's integral to the one very important part at the end of the game. Which like, you have to have that. You have to have that gameplay. Which makes me wonder if this is set in the remake universe. How is that gonna go? How is that gonna play out? Because it's kind of there's a significant thing that happens at the end of that can't happen now. Yeah. Yeah. So I assume it is going to, like, they're doing the shot for shot stuff in the trailer. Yeah. Obviously to be like, yeah, you've played Crisis Core 800 times. Here you go. And they're obviously going to do different things with it as well, but like, boy, it is very weird to see that game in like good quality. And it's coming out at the end of this year. Yeah. Like, that's just around the corner. So they've been working on this. They've been busy, yeah. And I'm amazed they kept that one under wraps because like everything else is, you know, everything leaks, right? Like everything leaks. I'm amazed that, you know, that NVIDIA leak that's been so correct and is basically spoiled announcements for the next 3.5 years for video games. I'm amazed it wasn't on the NVIDIA leak, like at all. Yeah. So... yeah, no, I'm happy that it's happening and it's a real proper remake that is Steve Blum playing Angeal like really hardcore, and it's very funny. They just got that man to play Angeal. Okay. I am a little bummed out that my prediction did not come true. Which one? Which was that they would eventually show flashbacks to Crisis Core, and there would just be a gap where Genesis should be. Yeah. No, unfortunately, we're stuck with Genesis. Sorry, y'all. Unfortunately, Gact is still here. We'll never be free of Gact. We got Gacted after all. Oh, no. Now I'm just thinking of that one tweet that I... can't say. I mean, I guess I could say, but I'm not going to because we're in Flight Company. But yeah, no, it's just strange. I really thought that Crisis Core was just dead forever. Yeah. Right? Because of like all the different licensing issues and stuff. And I suppose they fixed that and got around that. And yeah, I mean, I always figured that we would just get extensive
flashbacks to events in Crisis Core in the remake, you know?
But just without GACT because of licensing issues. But no, not only is Genesis in Crisis Core, it is still based off of his face, and he is still voicing Crisis. He's still voicing Genesis in the remake. Like, he's doing that shit again.
Which is, like, shocking. Does this mean that Genesis is a universal singularity?
Genesis is a universal constant. Yeah, I hate to say it. We are stuck with Genesis Rapsodos. I'm so sorry, folks. We're never gonna be free. That just like a dime store version of V. I know V came second, but shut up. So I'm still excited because there's a lot of really good stuff in Crisis Core. Even if I think like that entire. No, because the ending of Crisis Core is so good. I was gonna be like, you could just play Crisis Core up to Nibelheim and then turn the game off. Yeah. And you would get a perfectly good video game. But then I'm like, no. Because the ending is probably some of the strongest writing in any Final Fantasy game ever. It's like, damn.
I'm just like, what the fuck are they, if this is so much shot for shot, what the fuck are they gonna do?
Well, I don't know. How are they going to remix it? Like, how are they going to change things? I don't know. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. Because I guess, I am like, oh, it's like a shot for shot. And then I think about the beginning of Final Fantasy VII, like the 7 remake, and how it is also like a beat for beat remake of the bombing run, right? Right. So... yeah, and then it goes completely fucking insane. So it could also go completely fucking insane. Who knows?
It could. I'm looking forward to once again to a whole new breed of FF7 fans who didn't get their chance to play Crisis Core. To get to the Nibelheim part where GACT is like, and I am also here, not being edited in later.
I still hold that at the very least, even if Genesis kind of sucks, that whole conversation between him and Sephiroth in the reactor is pretty good. So I guess it can stay. I suppose GACT can stay.
It is. I just wish it happened anywhere else because it really it just feels like
stapled, like they just stapled that man into the script.
Yeah, like GACT is like shoving Sephiroth aside and being like, also I'm here, look at me.
It's a shame.
I need to be in this important moment.
I really hope that the Crisis Core remake is a lot more like has more Sephiroth stuff in it, because easily the most interesting part of the Crisis Core remake is like hanging out with a version of Sephiroth who hasn't lost his mind and is just like kind of a cool guy, which is weird. You're just like, oh, this is sad. He was just like a nice dude. Oh, this sucks.
Well, this is it's Tyler Hoechlin is his new voice actor, right?
Yeah. Also Superman.
It's Tyler Hoechlin's chance to voice act Superman.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets to just do that role again.
Yeah.
I do still miss George Newbern's type of Superman, or Sephiroth. I just think it was probably the most inspired casting choice any voice director has ever had. I mean, Tyler Hoechlin is a really good Sephiroth too. He sounds perfectly good in the remake.
I think Zach's voice actor is doing better in this than in the end of remake.
Yeah, but like some of the best lines in Crisis Core, like some of the best moments in Crisis Core hinge entirely on how good like the original Zach's delivery was, right? Yeah. Like what are you after? World domination. That's not even funny, man. Like that line read is so good. And if you can't fuck it up. I'm sorry, like you really like so much of Crisis Core being good hinges on Zach like seeming like such a normal guy, right? Yeah. And he didn't sound great.
Rick Gomez whoever gave him direction, he sounds so much like a Kingdom Hearts character.
Yeah, he sounds way too wooden.
And not No, I'm sorry, not Rick Gomez. His original one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the original voice actor. Because I mean that in a good way. Direction gave him like he's very exuberant and energetic.
Sure.
And youthful, and it works really well because of some of the lines he's given.
Yeah,
like, he just ate my hair.
He just ate my hair. That's not even funny, man. Or just like, or the bit where he learns he's been promoted to first, and he just goes, "Angeal, I love you, man," and just tackles him. Like those rhyme reads are so good.
Yeah, so he's, and that's part of the appeal of Zach is that he's the goofball.
Yeah,
and his new voice actor is just kind of more sarcastic sounding.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of like original Zach is like the kind of big brother who drives his little brother to the arcade without any hesitation or like annoyance at all. Like he's excited to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And his new voice actor is kind of like you have to kind of like convince him to do that.
I don't even know if it's like, to me it's not even that. It's just that like his line reads just don't sound as good.
Yeah.
Like they just don't sound as convincing. And it's like, oh no, please don't fuck this up. Like everything else sounded great. New Lazard sounded fine. Sephiroth, obviously. Steve Blum is Angeal, so of course.
Well,
I don't know who the new Genesis. Well, did Genesis even speak? No, he didn't. Did he? No.
No, we just know it's Gact.
Okay.
I don't know what his English one is. Probably different too, but
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how he does.
I hope it's okay. If not, I'm switching that shit over to Japanese.
It might just take some getting used to, just because like Rick Gomez was so ubiquitous as Zach.
Right, you're so good.
It just might take some time to get used to.
But then also,
we didn't talk about, this was before this, but Ever Crisis.
Oh yeah, Ever Crisis looks good. Looks that game's gonna melt most people's phones, but it looks good. Yeah.
They are going to make Square Enix infinite money because we saw alternate costumes.
Yeah, that's really all it boils down to, is that it's a retelling of the compilation, which I really hope this means we get a version of Before Crisis that human beings can actually play. I really hope we get a version of Before Crisis that people can play instead of just read on YouTube. Because like there is no way to play Before Crisis at all. But like it looks cute. I like that art style. It has a full 3D like Final Fantasy VII Remake looking battle system that's going to again destroy most people's phones. I don't even know if it's going to run on my phone, but we'll find out. I still have an iPhone 7.
They could just do a lot of FMVs.
Yeah. Like
pre-rendered videos and stuff. You know, kind of like how Fate like ties damage to the Noble Phantasm. That's why you can't skip it.
Right.
Like instead of doing an animation, it just plays a video of like your elaborate attack.
Yeah, but even then, like, there's still, from what I could tell, there was still some sort of turn-based system, and that's still rendering like the CG characters. It's like, oh no, okay, well, we're gonna see how this goes.
I guess we'll see, but yeah, we saw Cloud as a cool samurai. We saw Tifa in like her workout clothes.
Aerith has like a wedding princess dress. Yeah,
which you just put any female character in a wedding dress, and you're just gonna make bank immediately.
Yeah, congratulations, you found the way to make infinite money. I'm so proud of you.
But yeah, it looks good. Some of the shots we saw reminded me of RE1 remake, where it's just like here's FF7, but like everything has been enhanced.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the most important thing,
Rebirth. By the way, we called it.
Yeah, we did.
Called that name. I don't think we called that name. We did call that Reunion was going to be a subtitle, but it's the subtitle for Crisis Core. But we did say that the second game would have a re-title. So
yeah,
You're welcome.
And yeah,
we didn't see much of it.
Yeah, but it's coming next year.
It's coming winter next year.
Because fuck you.
2023 is going to be a bloodbath.
You're getting 3 mainline Final Fantasy games in 2023. Yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Die.
Eat shit, idiot. We hope you die.
Also,
and I will.
That whole trailer was just, you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, no, it was a very, kind of bare bones trailer. I assume the shit walking around with Sephiroth is the Calm flashback.
Yeah.
But I mean, fuck, who knows? I don't trust these people anymore. Anything that could happen.
We saw Calm flashback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We heard Tifa, not Aerith, Tifa, talking about nearly dying and the idea that she's like a ghost or something.
Right.
Which is weird because Tifa definitely got stabbed in Nibelheim.
Yeah, she didn't get stabbed. She got slashed.
Cloud
got stabbed. But yeah, no, very interesting. Yeah, I'm excited for a bigger trailer, maybe a TGS.
Yeah.
Please, that would be great.
They talked a lot about how the future is unpredictable now.
Mm-hmm.
And, fitting with what we talked about with the ending of FF7 Remake, where it's like, you can't predict what will come next now. The familiar is gone.
Yeah, we are in firmly uncharted territory now.
Yeah.
But we're still doing the Calm flashback, which is good. And I'm just wondering how wildly we're going to spin off into new shit. They announced it's only 3 games. It's going to be 3 games. It's 3 parts. So again, I don't know how that's all going to condense because everything after Midgar is pretty big. But then again, maybe not. I mean, I guess you could condense a lot. You could condense everything up till
or, you could not condense anything because
that's true.
It doesn't matter. It can go anywhere now.
That's true. We can, and they said that part 2 is next gen exclusive, so we are free from squeeze throughs. People,
Yay! We did it!
We did it! We climbed this whole mountain. We don't have to squeeze through anything to see the top of it. Yeah. So I am extremely excited. Everything's coming up, Sarah, in terms of Final Fantasy games, and I really hope we get, because the trailer for Rebirth was pretty slim, which is understandable.
Yeah, this time we know that it's because they don't want to show us anything that'll happen.
They don't want to show us. No, yeah, they're like, we're gonna keep this shit under wraps. So I'm really, really looking forward to TGS.
We only saw Calm flashback stuff because that's all they could afford to show us, because that's the only thing that's familiar.
Who knows what else could be revealed in an additional trailer?
Fucking, what if Sid and Vincent just aren't in it?
I think people would riot. I think people, if you don't put Vince, look, that's you remember how I said back when we talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake, they had to put Sephiroth in part 1, even though he doesn't ever actually show up, physically in Midgar, because, at that point, Sephiroth has become so ubiquitous that it would be insane to not put him in, right?
Yeah.
Vincent Valentine is that character for part 2. It would just be insane to not. So, they have to put him in. And, Sid is going to get in because everybody likes Sid. But, more importantly, Vincent Valentine's getting in because otherwise a lot of people would show up at Square Enix HQ in Tokyo and start kicking windows in, myself included.
Well, if he's, what they can do then instead is Vincent doesn't show up in Remake, but he does show up in Dirge of Cerberus
I would play it. Fuck off. At this point, I'm like, yeah, sure. Remake Dirge of Cerberus. If you could somehow make Dirge of Cerberus into a good video game, I'll play it. Sure.
I'm just saying. We saw a lot of deep ground stuff.
We have seen a lot of deep ground stuff.
In intergrade,
they're not getting rid of the compilation, people.
No.
It's staying, and frankly, that means we're gonna see more of Dirge of Cerberus stuff, and I don't mind, because I think that game is bad, but I also really like that game. After doing that that replay we did on Twitch, I realized I think I like Dirge of Cerberus.
I think
I have holes in my brain.
I think out of the list of bad games I've played, I think Dirge of Cerberus is actually pretty high up there in terms of like absolute garbage that I never want to play again. Like, I never want to play it again, but I'll play it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, don't make me play that game again, but also like I would play that game again. I would. I'm sorry. I would play that game again. It was a good time. Now, mind you, it has to be played with friends to keep it going insane. But if they remade it and made it, I mean, like, nothing's fixing how bad that plot is. So if they remake it, hopefully they do. Like, they maybe do a few little things to make that more palatable. But if they just remade it and made the video game play good instead of bad, that would be great.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it. Wait a minute. Cool. Hold on, wait a minute. Steve Bloom is Angeal, right? Is that confirmed, or does it just sound like Steve Bloom?
It just sounds like Steve Bloom. I'm just assuming. But also Steve Bloom, because they aren't using compilation voice actors for their
Steve
like
Bloom is a
original
compilation voice actor.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm saying, that's what I was saying, is that like they're not using them for their original roles.
Okay, yeah. That would be interesting.
So he could still get in as Angeal as long as he's not playing Vincent. Like, you know? I mean, that would be wild, but I don't mind. I think it'd be really funny. Steve Bloom was always a very weird fit for Vincent anyways. Like,
yeah,
I didn't mind because I liked that it was him and Bo Billingsley playing Barrett, right? Yeah. And it's just like, oh, okay, it's just Cowboy Bebop. But, you know, Steve Bloom being replaced as Vincent is not as egregious as some of the other like voice actor replacements that kind of chafe me. Yeah. So it's okay. But I'm excited.
I'm losing my mind at just the possibilities now. We talked about it extensively, but like uncharted territory in Final Fantasy VII is terrifying.
Oh, it's horrifying. You don't know what they could do to you. The Tetsuya Nomura is a very quiet, very powerful man who will hurt you if he feels so inclined. So I'm looking forward to it a lot. Again, please teach just like one more trailer. I just need one more trailer at TGS, and then I'll be okay. Because the game until next E3.
Yeah, the game will be out next year, so we don't need that many more trailers.
No. I just need like one or two more to kind of tide me, and they don't need to be big trailers. Just like a little just show me Junon. Like let me know that we're seeing Junon, and I'll be happy. And the Gold Saucer. Yeah, those are my two requests. I want to see Junon, and I want to see the Gold Saucer.
The only thing I really want, like the only things in classic FF7 that I want to carry over, and the rest can be whatever the fuck you want it to be, is the parade.
Yeah, parade is good.
And Gold Saucer. And that's it. You can throw everything else out and do it completely fresh, but I want to do those parts.
I think the parade is good. I really like I really hope they keep the whole bit where you're walking around Junon in uniform and the Turks just ignore you. Yeah. Because they're off the clock. Like, they don't give a shit. I think that would be a really good thing to preserve in the remake, I hope. Yeah. And yeah, keep the Gold Saucer and Costa del Sol. I like Costa del Sol a lot too, so keep that one. Yeah. But other than that, do whatever the fuck you want.
I saw people talking about how like because this trailer revitalized the debate about whether remake is good or not. And they were like, I'm still mad at remake for revealing Sephiroth early, and it's like, everyone knows who Sephiroth is. That secret, that surprise is dead. If you want a surprise, they're making a whole game that's all surprises.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that it's like, at this point, everyone knows who Sephiroth is. He's in
Smash Brothers.
He's in Smash Brothers. You can't keep that man a secret. I'm sorry. Like, it is what it is. So they had to put, like I said, it'd be insane to not put their, like, flagship character in their big, sexy, $1,000,000,000 Final Fantasy VII remake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. They had to put him in there. I'm sorry. Anything else would have been insane.
So, yeah, that's about... Yeah.
That's it. I'm looking forward to it. So, you know.
They showed off... You know what I realized? You know what I realized watching this thing? Because, like, the show opened with, like, Final Fantasy VII, and they showed, like, clips, like, Before Crisis, Advent Children, you know, Dirge of Cerberus, etc., etc. I realized that First Soldier fits the lettering convention of the rest of the compilation.
Does it?
F.
Oh,
A, B, C, D, E, F. With Ever
true.
Crisis is E and First Soldier is F.
That's true. The only part that sucks is that it's not a C. It's not a crisis.
Yeah, but neither is Dirge of Cerberus.
Oh, that's true. But that's still a C.
Yeah, so it's the only one that breaks. Yeah, it's the only one that breaks the complete naming, like the basic naming convention of letter C, but it's still F.
It is still F. That's true. They still have it going that way. It's very very clever of you, Square Enix.
Mm-hmm.
But okay.
Yeah.
That being said, we also still have to talk for just a little bit about Stranger Paradise.
Yeah. Which, you know, we joked a lot about it when it was coming out. It's GOTY contender, actually.
I wouldn't say it's my GOTY contender, but I liked it. Like, I
can see it being on a lot of people's lists, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I will say, just to get this out of the way real fast, it's the ugliest fucking video game I've ever seen. This game in my notes. I guess I should say the environments are actually really pretty. Like, all of the different environments are very beautiful, and like the lighting is very clean. Mm-hmm. Those are the ugliest fucking character models I have ever laid eyes on, ever.
My exact note was... Sometimes this game enters the PS3 dimension for no discernible reason.
It's really bad. Like, I have never had character models that looked so aesthetically bad that it was distracting.
Right?
Until I played Stranger of Paradise.
It's so funny. Like, and it's all just like whenever you... Sometimes in the rare occasions where you run into a random townsperson, and it's like, oh my god, what happened to you?
What is this game?
Why do you look like that one dude from like the remaster of one of the Assassin's Creeds?
Yeah. yeah, where his eyes are like popping out of his head.
Yeah.
Like the innkeeper guy.
Yeah.
Like all of the non-important NPC. I mean, they all look terrible. Jack, Neon, Sara, they all look bad. Make no mistake. But all the non-important character and like NPCs look even worse. It's honestly impressive.
Yeah.
That they look so ugly. But like every single cutscene, I just could not stop thinking about like how ugly everyone, and everyone is so fucking ugly.
Every cutscene in this game looks like it didn't load properly.
No, I feel like I'm still waiting for a texture or some lighting to pop in.
Like when you're playing Mass Effect 1 on like the original Xbox or Xbox, and like the armor texture doesn't load properly, so everyone just has like a generic, like blurry, like effect on their armor. It's like that with the whole game.
But the whole game,
everyone's hair has like weird artifact, like render artifacting.
Yes, and everybody is like extremely distractingly dead-eyed.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody is just so ugly. It is impressive how bad everyone looks. Like it loops back around to being impressive just with how ugly everyone
It's the kind of thing that I wouldn't complain about if this wasn't like a game produced by Square Enix.
Well, it's just weird to me because like I think the environment design is very pretty. I think like their like reinterpretations of like Sastasha and the Tomb of Wraithwall. They're really nice.
Yeah, the environments are really moody. Like every level has such great atmosphere and tension in it, and you're going to different areas, and like the lighting color will just shift.
Yeah,
and it looks really good.
See, that's the reason why like the character models themselves are so PS3 core, because like even all of their different, the game has a shit zillion fucking outfits, and they're all awful. Mm-hmm. And they're all different shades of like muddy brown and black, and there's like a handful with colors, but not that many.
I wish so badly that there was like a glamour system, because I would just want to keep everyone in their original outfit the whole game.
Just keep everybody in their original outfit, or yeah, that's about it. There's like a handful of other tops that look okay, but for the most part, dog shit.
Yeah,
just some of the worst armor design I've ever seen in my entire life, which is again impressive. But the thing is that like all of these all the different character design permutations, they look like PS3 character designs. So I went into this game expecting, even though I had seen like preview images, I was still, just because of my own experiences with 7th gen, expecting like most of this game to be brown, right?
Yeah.
To just be brown and gray with a couple of money zones where there's some color. But no, like the whole game is very pretty. Like the environment design is very, very pretty. Everything is colorful and rich and well lit and moody. I hate this music because there's not enough tracks. It's really bad. Like, okay, I will say the music is good.
Good. It's just repetitive.
However, you hear that same battle track basically until the end of the fucking video.
It gave me I don't know if you ever actually played Sonic Unleashed.
No.
Okay. They have like a handful, like in the Werehog stages, they have a handful of battle themes, right, for each encounter. Like you do some platforming, then like you land on a rooftop and a bunch of enemies spawn, kind of thing. Sure. It does not persist. It starts over with every encounter, so whenever you get into a fight, it's every fucking time.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Stranger of Paradise. Like the song, one, the loop is too short.
Yeah.
And two, the song restarts every time you reinitialize combat. And it's basically the same song. I think it's the same song the whole game.
I think it probably permutates as you get further in, like it gets more intense, but I do think in the last couple dungeons, I guess, it's different music, but like basically up until the Tower of the Ancients, no, that shit's the same. Yeah. That's the same song over and over again. It's fine. Yeah. Oof. I also think it's funny how everyone who is not Jack, Jed, Ash, Neon, and what's her name? Sophia. Who is not them, look like Renaissance cosplayers.
Yeah, and specifically cosplayers, not like those are costumes you wear to the Ren Fair. They don't look like like any clothing that any human being would ever wear.
Yeah, like the king. The King of Cornelia just...
Oh, yeah.
He looks like he belongs in, like, an FMV game on, like,
he looks Windows. No, he looks like the king in fucking the CDI Zelda game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he literally looks like the king from the CDI Zelda games.
And Bick the Pirate.
Oh, God.
Looks so bad.
They look so bad.
It's
really stunning.
He doesn't look like a crusty pirate. No. He looks like some weird drunk British guy wearing a pirate costume.
Yeah, it's insane. like Sarah's design, and by the way, only video game I ever get to play where there's a character with my name, so that's fun. But the princess's design is like the ugliest, most busiest piece of dog shit I've ever seen.
She looks worse than Sonic 06 Princess Elise.
She does.
And that says something.
And it's just like, it looks like a stripper princess outfit. Like, I keep expecting the bottom to come off, and she's just got, like, fishnets on underneath it.
Yeah, it's sexy princess Halloween costume.
It is a sexy princess Halloween costume, absolutely. Because, like, she's got the strappy things on her boobs, and they're just, like... I mean, her, like, actual cleavage is not too insane, but, like, there's so much exposed chest going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just... this game feels like it came from another universe. That's the thing I kept thinking the whole time through it, is that the tone is insane. Like,
oh my god, yes, but like later on the tone is insane in a good way.
The tone is like, the game, I will say, it gets interesting. It actually does get fairly compelling toward the end. However, takes too long to get there. We could have gotten there 3.5 hours sooner, and this would have been a more interesting video game. It's for a while you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
I didn't expect it to just be level after level with no overworld or like, RPG part of it.
There's like there's the character tree stuff, the skill tree stuff, so that's a RPG part in like the modern RPG sense,
which I thought was really good because it's a shared tree for everyone. So like you don't have to you unlock everything for Jack, and then you don't have to unlock it all for the rest of the party.
Yeah, thank God, because that would have instantly killed the momentum of this video game. Like that, it means you can put everybody in different classes, and it's super good. I think the idea of having to level, like you have to level. What is it to unlock? You have to level Berserker to unlock Dark Knight? Yeah,
you have to rank up you have like 3 tiers of classes.
Yeah.
And like some you just get for progressing the story, and like you unlock them after you beat a level. And then the second tier is you have to get the skill tree to the bottom to unlock like 1/2 of the next class.
Yeah. And I actually really like that because leveling classes is easy. It goes really fast. All these different classes feel really good to play, although Pugilist is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it all feels good. It looks good. Like, the actual gameplay part of it is really satisfying, which is stunning. And the leveling part feels good. I like, because it kind of encourages you to go and try different different classes and experiment.
Yeah, and there's a lot of momentum to leveling up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're just getting levels and getting new gear and getting points and
we'll talk about the gear.
Oh my god, there's so much fucking gear.
There's so much fucking okay, I guess we'll talk about it now. When I talk about this game feels like it came from another universe, you leave every dungeon with so much shit. I feel like you should be walking around these dungeons and just like kicking gauntlets down the fucking halls, right?
The audacity of them to be like, here, go to the Forge Master and upgrade your gear. Why? I'm gonna find new sets of gear within 10 minutes.
There's so much. This game is literally full to the tits with gear. You can't sneeze without knocking over like a helmet or something.
Every 5 minutes, I'm going to the inventory and just like auto filling like the best gear,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's insane to me. Like, who did this?
It's incredible.
It really is just this game is like, when I say it's insane, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, I do kind of mean it in a bad way.
So here's my takeaway from Stranger of Paradise. Just flat out my thesis statement for Stranger of Paradise.
Okay, hit me.
Stranger of Paradise is what Tales of Arise wanted to be.
Yeah, because they're both trying to take a more Soulsian approach to a storied RPG franchise. Yeah, that's true.
They're like, we're going to take the JRPG concept and break it down to the barest components we can. What do you need? Leveling. You need gear. You need a party.
That's it.
You got it.
We nailed it. And it's just that Stranger of Paradise's like gameplay loop is significantly more satisfying, except for the part where you have to go into your inventory and just throw shit away every
because like
minutes.
you filled up all 500 slots and you're just like, don't you want to save this to forge better gear? No, you file some later.
Why would I do that? No, absolutely not. Until to me the craziest thing, well, we're not gonna talk about story just yet. Well, hold on. But I will say the craziest thing is that like at the ass end of this video game, when like shit is categorically happening and you are there, you are at the end, serious things are happening, and the game is still shitting gear at you.
I know.
You beat the last boss and the game is still giving you gear. And it's like, where was he keeping it? Where was the embodiment of despair keeping this sword?
It's just the idea of just like in RE4 when like you shoot a bunch of Las Plagas and like crows and they just spawn bullets.
Yeah, it's insane. Something about it. It's like I understand the like the kind of fudging of reality of like, yeah, they're, this enemy was carrying gold. Or this enemy was carrying like a sword or like a piece of gear.
It's a gameplay abstraction of just like, here's your reward for beating an enemy.
Correct. However, it's the absurdity comes from how much of it is there, right?
You kill an enemy and like chest plates explode out of them.
It's like a Fallout 4 glitch.
Yeah.
Or like, like when you play Skyrim and you spawn 500 wheels of cheese on top of a hill just to see what the physics engine does. That's what happens when I punch a Tonberry.
Or like when you gib someone in Fallout 4 and you go to like their hand and you pick up their like leg armor.
Yeah. And it's just
incredible.
It's incredible. It really is, because it feels like a decision made by an alien. Like, what do the gamers like? What do gamers like when they kill a thing? Well, they love getting loot. Well, what if everything just shat loot constantly? Right?
Also, real quick, going back to everyone's designs in this game, I've never seen, like, this is so weird. I've never seen a game where the most dripped out character is the dude wearing a ratty Henley and boots.
Yeah, and I suppose that means that Jack really doesn't have much drip. Also, very, very funny. I could not stop noticing it after a while. Jack is clearly meant to be wearing, like, armor. Like, the Henley and boots are just his starting outfit. You're meant to put shit on top of it. So Jack is clearly meant to be wearing armor. However, his walk animation in cutscenes is expecting you to be wearing a lot of armor. Yeah. So if you're wearing anything lighter than just like full plate shit, that's a weird looking walk.
It is.
That's a nitpick, but I could not stop. Once I saw it, I couldn't stop seeing it, right?
Mm-hmm. I just think it's so funny because like, the king, Princess Sara, and the dark elf Astos, they just look like the most platonic ideal of
fantasy characters.
Yeah, of what does a king look like? What does a princess look like? What does a dark elf king look like?
Yeah.
What does a pirate look like?
Yeah, absolutely. And then like fucking Jack and Jed and Ash and Neon.
Yeah.
And Sophia.
It's Sophia for sure.
For sure. Actually thinking about it now, because she's not wearing like a witch dress. She's just wearing a maxi skirt and a black t-shirt.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Like the only character in the party who has any sort of like uniqueness about them is Neon, because she has bandages.
She's got the bandages and she's wearing she looks she looks like a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Wearing like a sailor dress and bandages, and then her mouth opens and she sounds like she's 28.
Right?
And I'm like, the first time Neon spoke, I'm like, that's not the voice I expected to come out of that mouth.
And,
nope.
And the other thing is, she's implied to be like 28.
I know!
They're all adults.
Like that? They're all adults. So why does she look like that?
They're all adults. It's just that Neon is like that kind of like fun, like that thing where like a woman will just stop growing at like 16.
Yeah. She's just like a very short girl. And it's just so weird. The other thing is that at one point the game uses the term, they call Sophia a girl. And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like, it was, and I know that's such a small thing, but again, like my brain latched on to because this game is a fever dream sometimes.
Yeah.
And at one point the game calls Sophia a woman who is visibly in her late 30s to early 40s because she's got like smile lines. They're like, yeah, this is a strange girl. I'm like, that's a strange woman. No.
Yeah.
No. No. Great. Fantastic. This cast is insane. I like them. Question mark? I think they're
adore
pretty
this
great.
cast.
Yeah.
Holy this cast is, and I didn't expect to actually find them this endearing.
They're very charming.
But they have, again, the one thing that the party in Tales of Arise lacked, which is really oddly good chemistry.
Yeah, there's like a lot of really funny rapport. I think there's this one part where Ash is like warning Jack to not do something, like not fall off like a ledge or something. And Jack kind of responds gruffly, and Ash goes like, "Okay, sorry, I was just trying to be helpful." And Jack goes, "You are helpful. This is just how I sound."
It's this. The best thing about Jack and why like what immediately like endeared me, because I was already like on board because it's funny Chaos Punch Man. Sure. But you get to bits where like Jed and Ash are like joking around with him and like making fun of him. And every so often you'll get a point where Jack just goes like, it's like, you know, it's like, he's having fun too. He's enjoying it. Like sometimes he
just has like resting bitch face, but for a man, right?
Yeah,
like
that's just how he is most of the time. He's very serious and he's very, you know, impatient and he's very single-minded. But, you know, he knows, like, he knows what a joke is.
He does crack jokes every now and then.
Yeah.
Like he does make a joke, and it's really funny every time. Like Jack makes a stupid joke, you laugh at it because it's so unexpected from him. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed. I thought it was really funny. So like when you meet Neon, and you know she does her whole like, well, chaos isn't real and Jack's bullshit.
Yeah.
And but then like, you know, when you're leaving that dungeon and Neon is following you, she says, well, you'll have to just show me chaos is real or I'll never to make me respect you, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on they're just kind of talking and shooting the shit while you're going through one of the zones. I think it's like the foresty zone.
Mm-hmm.
Jed says like, so hey, what about not respecting Jack? And she's like, can we just not bring that up? That's actually kind of embarrassing that I said that. It's like, oh, great.
You guys are like real people.
They're like real people who kind of like, oh, I said an embarrassing thing back there. I take that back. Like, I was really surprised how much I came away liking this cast. I was surprised how much I came away like really liking Astos.
Astos is funny.
He's like funny, and there's a genuine tragedy with Astos's character that you're just like, oh, ow! You get to the bit where he's like, you forgot, and then you do the flashback, and it's like, oh, okay, like they like in just a couple of cutscenes, they actually sell the fact that you were friends with this guy at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, you totally forgot. I've had this conversation with you 3 times already. And then, you know, he's dying and you're like, oh, ow.
Yeah.
My feelings hurty. I think I'm feeling a thing for this horribly rendered dead-eyed dark elf man, because ooh, Astos has got it bad.
Oh boy.
But like, I was feeling a feeling for these characters toward the end. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Weird game.
It does the thing that I knew would happen, which was all those haha funny Chaos Man bits would wrap around and end up meaning a lot.
Yeah, it's really interesting how much, and I know that ultimately it boils down to like this was always the plan, but it's really interesting how much of like the game kind of just becomes like a fucking tragedy at the end, right?
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
Just like, oh, it's not what I was expecting. It was a tragedy that I actually was like on board for. Like, I was not rolling my eyes at it. I was just like, yeah, this sucks, actually.
Once you start getting the clues and once like the full picture starts to appear and you recontextualize what you've already seen, you're like, oh, all of the things that the party has done so far make total sense.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's still like a little bit of like weirdness from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's some weirdness in the connective tissue of the plot beats themselves, but the internal logic makes sense. Like, it all coalesces into something that I actually give a shit about, which is, again, just stunning. Because this game does spin its wheels for a while.
A little bit, yeah.
For a while.
I spent most of the game knowing and wondering how the hell this is a prequel to Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah, and because they spoil it early on. Like, they spoiled it in the pre-release stuff that his last name is Garland.
Yeah.
In the game, they actually don't drop that his name is Garland until, like, the very end.
Yeah.
But they decided, I was reading on Wikipedia, that they decided to, like, not bother with that mystery, because one, it would be super obvious, anybody would be able to tell. And two, they decided, like, it would be more interesting if people knew and wondered, like, well, how do we get there? Because, like, at the beginning, the princess is asking Jack to look for a man named Garland that she misses but can't remember. And you're like, well, hold on, isn't Jack Garland?
Yeah.
Huh? And so you're just trying to kind of make that connection, and you're like, well, how do we get there? Like, what is actually going on in the background? And I think it's actually interesting. I think the background stuff going on is very cool and weird.
Yeah, and it's what it was. I found really interesting was especially the stuff with Sara, and like, which carries over to the party themselves, being like, going to a location, be like, I remember when I was here last time, and they go, last time, and then they go, wait, was I here?
Yeah. So you know, and like, you know, because you've played Final Fantasy 1, that there is some time travel involved. Right. But you're like, well, how is that work? Like, where is that going to tie in? I suppose I was waiting constantly for the time travel sequence to happen, and it never does. Well, it does.
It does, but like, you know.
And it's just like, I don't know. It was, toward the end, I actually was genuinely caring and compelled by what was happening. I was like, oh, this is a tragedy. Some sad stuff is happening on screen right now.
Yeah.
And I was feeling those feelings that they wanted me to feel, which is, again, I didn't expect it. And I don't like to go in, I don't like to be like, oh, those wacky Japanese games, but like the tone of this, of like this marketing for this game was very strange, you know?
I mean, I knew it was, I came in, I don't know what I expected coming into this, you know? I expected a game that would be, I guess, a little bit more like Devil May Cry in tone.
Sure.
You know, kind of, but like not so much of the end game, but like Wacky Wahoo Pizza Man style, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, they're gonna all these characters are gonna be kind of goofballs and edgy badasses, and you're gonna punch a lot of things, and like they're going to be very flippant about the actual plot structure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be dudes rock the game.
Yeah, and there is some of that for sure.
But then it actually really, like, near the end, it really does go out of its way to be like, no, we are setting up Final Fantasy 1 in a way that is kind of more congruent with what you expect with later Final Fantasy titles.
Right.
And very compelling.
Yeah, I think there's some neat stuff going on. I think the actual the actual stuff with like the interdimensional race having to just dump all of its darkness into Cornelia is just like gobbledygook. Like it's just like, okay, sure, this is a like a hand waving justification. So like some of that's just kind of goofy. And I'm like, fine. But it's in service to something I actually ended up giving a shit about, which was just stunning. And yeah, I toward the end was like, oh, this is stuff I care about. I like these little. I think the thing that kind of that was like really grabbed me by the nose and was like kind of pulling me along to be like, you give a crap now. Is kind of the every time you get a flashback to what Jack was like one or two loops ago.
Yeah.
And he's just such a different guy, and you're like, oh, so this is just a like a weird hero's downfall story going.
Yeah. You see him being way friendlier.
Yeah, and way more like reasonable and personable. And willing to kind of make bargains and get along with people.
And then, and so you can see why he is the way he is, where he just is mashing through all the cutscenes.
Right, he's done all this before. He doesn't realize he's done all of this before, but he's done all of this before, and he's mad about it for reasons he can't quite understand just yet. And is being pushed to kind of this logical final point. And yeah, it's good.
It's like, really good.
I just wish it got there a little faster because like the first 70% of the game is the same thing.
It's just Final Fantasy 1.
It's Final Fantasy 1. It's go through this dungeon. There's some light bants. There's a small cutscene before the boss where it's like, oh, I'm remembering something weird, and you fight a big boss, and then a weird thing happens to a crystal, which is just all of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And then you just do that over and over again for 6 dungeons, right?
Right.
And you're like, okay, what is this building toward? And I was really hoping, I think in a perfect world where this game was a little bit better, it would hint toward something weird going on more aggressively, right?
Right. Like, and I think on the one, I think this is an issue with the marketing approach too. I think if we didn't know this was actually a prequel and it was just, we're going to make an action game that's based on Final Fantasy 1 and then, ooh, surprise, there's a twist at the end.
Yeah.
You know, because it is pretty much beat for beat FF1.
Right.
Right? But it's just, we recontextualize it as an action game instead. If we didn't have that, if we didn't have the knowledge that this was a prequel and that Jack was Garland.
Right.
I think I'd be a little bit more forgiving about how much time we spent just retreading FF1.
Yeah, I think so.
You would think, oh, well, that's what the game is.
Yeah, but then again, that is still tedious because you're still just retreading Final Fantasy 1 and doing kind of the same beats over and over again. That wouldn't clear up any of the tedium, you know?
Right, but if you're going in expecting it to just be that, then you know what you're getting into, right?
That's true.
But like, since we know there's a twist, we're waiting for the clues of the twist.
Right.
And we're like, well, I didn't get any clues this time, and I have to do a whole other level where I might get clues until, like, all the cars crash at the end of the road, and
Right.
it all starts to fall in place.
Sure, and then it takes a really long time for that car crash to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, the buildup is, I mean, once things start going, they are interesting. There's interesting stuff going on. There's weird lore, world building stuff happening, and I liked it.
I adored the implication that every Final Fantasy game is its own separate dimension, and they're all part of a multiverse.
Yeah, I really liked that, where the implication is that each of these are little worlds that are kind of being managed by some weird interdimensional beings, I guess. Yeah, I know that I really want a sequel, is what I'm saying. I would very much like a sequel where you somehow break you break what's expected of killing Garland, and Jack gets to go actually kick the shit out of the they're not Lunarians.
Lufenian.
But Lufenians, thank you.
Yeah.
And Jack gets to go and actually kick the shit out of the Lufenians for, 12 to 35 hours, depending on how long you want to play this game.
Right. I think this could easily get a sequel.
Yeah, I really hope so. I think there's enough that could be polished to actually make it a decent sequel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's enough lore left unsaid that you could build this into it. That was the kind of thing I went in wondering, because Square Enix nowadays doesn't, especially with Final Fantasy, if they're going to make something, they're going to do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be weird if they're like, oh, this is just a little minor one-off fun project we did.
Right, yeah, they're looking to build more franchises.
Yeah, so I think this could easily become a thing.
Yeah. I would like to get a sequel of some kind to kind of build off of. There's just enough stuff kind of left hanging that I am interested in for a sequel. There's enough kind of jank in the gameplay and in the systems, especially, again, the absolutely goofy loot system.
Yeah.
There's enough there to refine into a second, to like take what you learned in this game and refine it into a second game. I think there's actual potential here. I am very surprised that there's potential here, because again, I was not expecting to come out of this having liked it as much as I did. Yeah, feeling compelled by it.
Yeah.
And I did. I liked it.
I think, yeah, there's enough care put into this very jank game.
Very bizarre video game.
That, yeah, I would love to see it there more of it, Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't, I don't have like a lot of like super strong feelings about it.
No.
But I liked it, and I would like a second one. And yeah, I would like the character models to look as good as the environment models.
Yeah, I mean, that for sure. This is a fun oddity, Yeah,
and you don't get those very much these days, right? Like, there's just such a PS2, and I don't mean like PS2 visuals. I'm not deranged like some people on Twitter on, but there's a Dirge of Cerberus quality to it, right?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, especially from a company as big as Square Enix, you don't get this kind of weird sideshow of a video game,
Yeah, like weird and a little experimental and doing bizarre things with tone and storytelling, and it's a very, it's not even made by Square Enix, it's made by the guys who made Neo, and it's very Neo, apparently. I've never played a Neo game before, but if you liked this, apparently you would fuck with Neo. Probably Neo 2 more. I heard 1 is more Dark Souls, and Neo 2 kind of finds its own identity, So apparently it's just this, it's like a Neo game with Final Fantasy trappings stapled onto it, but it's a story about a bunch of people who are like identifiably in their late 20s to mid 30s. So which is weird to have a Final Fantasy game that's just like a fully grown up cast. That's kind of edgy and gritty and mature, but isn't so unbearably self-serious.
Yeah.
Right? Like it has enough kind of charm that it's kind of weirder PS3 game trappings don't chafe the way they would have in the PS3 era, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it's weird how it's still kind of compelling to me. I think about, I just kind of chew on it and I'm like, wait,
yeah,
I'm still thinking about this weird fucking video game.
I just think of all the like the minor details, like, and how the, like, again, it's like how these characters interact with each other.
Yeah.
And how like Jack being so, like, it's weird to have a character on the surface of Jack, like on the surface, like this gruff, you know, 7th gen man, to be so protective and loyal to his friends.
Yeah, he's very, he has all of the, like you said, the 7th gen man attributes, but they're kind of reflected outward toward being, he doesn't have like very heroic impulses, but he still wants to take care of the people around him, like his immediate circle. He cares about them and he wants to you know, do right by them. And so like the part where you have to fight them at the end actually felt bad.
Yeah, it
was like feeling feelings. It's like, oh, I don't want to fight these guys. I like these goons, you know?
That whole part is so dark and somber because the rest of the party is like, you know, we'll get him next time, Jack.
Yeah, and this is kind of been, this is what they're kind of gunning towards, is kind of trying to push Jack into getting even stronger to win and like break this cycle. And I mean, that's interesting. There's meat on those bones.
Yeah,
it's good.
There's something here.
Yeah,
there's definitely something here.
And with like a little bit of additional refinement and some better pacing, so that the story is kind of more evenly spread out across the full width of the game, instead of backloading it all in the last 40%. 30%, really? 40 is very generous.
I still think the funniest fucking bit in terms of pacing is just, it is just the first cutscene where Jack meets Jed Nash.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to black, and it's like, then they went out and did some stuff, and now they're on their way back.
They went on an adventure and they're buddies, and now they're on their way back. But even that is kind of ties back into the weird meta, because for them, they've already done that part a bunch of times, probably. So Jack is just skipping through that cutscene mentally. Yeah. Like, he just doesn't care anymore. He knows that he's done this, so it doesn't need to be remarked upon.
Yeah, like the first, you know, loop, or the first handful of loops for them would have been a lot more getting to know each other and you know, working together and learning how to cooperate. But I love the memory ripple effect of, like, you don't remember this, but the feelings are still there. Right, yeah.
And so you still have this kind of fondness and affection for these goobers that you've come to hang out with all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very interesting because it is kind of, you know, that fade to black, just cut forward a couple of months or weeks.
Yeah.
Is it also is kind of like, well, you know how the beginning of Final Fantasy 1 starts. You don't need to rehash this. You already know how this goes, right?
We don't need to do a level where you go into the field and fight wolves to level up before going to the castle.
Right, exactly. You've already got that taken care of. So we're just gonna get you started with the interesting part. It's very funny. There's more thought and care put behind some of these insane decisions than you would expect.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I think one of the like two things that really tied like this whole thing together that made me like go like, what the fuck is happening, is the fact that Jed, Ash, Jack, and Neon fit the FF1 naming convention.
Yeah.
Of only having 4 letters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get Sophia.
Right, yeah. Who's supposed to be... She's kind of the red herring, obviously.
Yeah. And then later on in the game, when you go back to Cornelia, and the townsfolk don't trust you, because there should only be 4 Warriors of Light.
There should only be 4, but you have a 5th one, and things are going wrong. So obviously the fact that you have a 5th Warrior of Light in this Final Fantasy 1 game, where you're supposed to only have 4, is like, well, what have you done? You've done something wrong. You've broken the system.
Yeah, and what a cool thing to have in your game, where it's like you need to, get the crystals to quell the raging storms and to calm the seas and prevent plant life, keep plant life from growing and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get them and you get back to town and they're like, yeah, temperatures are dropping. The seas are too calm to sail on.
Right.
And, the air is stagnating.
Yeah, and it's like, well, no, you just live in an insane fantasy world, and you're just normalized. Like, you live in an insane fantasy world that's been essentially kind of a weird test ground for these interdimensional freaks. And so you don't even realize that your lives are abnormal, and we're just kind of stabilizing things to a more average kind of way of existing. And that's literally what like Sara says at one point, is that it's like, this is just like a transitionary period to people getting used to more normal living conditions, right? And it's like, oh, that's fun. That's a fun little idea of kind of people being so used to living in a very chaotic fantasy world that when things start to kind of level out and normalize, then that in and of itself kind of feels like chaos, right?
Yeah.
That's neat. It's just it's nothing to like super write home about, but it's a neat little idea. There's a lot of neat little ideas in this game.
It plants a seed in your head where you're kind of like, oh yeah, like the trade-off of an occasional hurricane is that the winds are strong enough to carry your sails. Yeah, you can sail very easily all of the time. There is no day where there's no wind, right? Yeah. And it's neat. There's a lot of stuff in here that makes those neurons fire, and you're just kind of going like, well, that's funny, or that's a neat idea, and yeah. It's a nice little collection of fun ideas. What a strange little game, right? That does a lot of cool things. It does a couple things not so great, but it does a lot of things extremely well. The music is repetitive, but what is there is good. Yeah. And the level design is very pretty. It's kind of a Dark Souls light where it's mostly linear with like a couple of paths that kind of fold back onto each other, like the occasional shortcut, but nothing very major. The level design is really good too. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. A lot of these areas tend to look samey, but I never got lost. Never got lost. I think every dungeon itself is very distinct. Especially because there's no map. There's no map. You weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen. It's crazy, but you can also keep pushing forward. Like the whole idea is just to kind of keep moving forward, and you don't really, because it is very linear. So as long as you don't turn around, you don't get yourself turned around at any point, you're gonna be fine. Every zone, the stuff inside each zone is kind of samey, but each zone itself, or dungeon, I guess, is very distinct looking. Like the Mako reactor and Wraithwall's tomb and Sestasha and the jungle and the fire zone, Mount Golg. Those all look very different. And that's really cool. There's a lot of genuinely interesting art design with these dog shit character models walking around in them.
Very weird.
Wearing the worst costumes you've ever seen.
Wearing universally some of the ugliest character design I've ever seen in a JRPG. It is stunning.
I love when you press that best equipment button and Jack just turns into a white guy samurai.
When you press that best equipment button, it looks like, you ever scroll over to the dispel all glamour prisms window in Final Fantasy 14?
It's just that Prosy D Vine where he's like, this is my ass kicking outfit, bitch.
Absolutely. There's our title card.
Yeah.
It looks extremely, and like none of the there's never okay, there's like one or two jackets that I were like, this looks pretty good, but it's gone so quickly.
Yeah.
15 minutes later, I picked up something better. I'm like, well, you look nice for a few minutes, Jack. Sorry, buddy. Forgive me, Jed.
The thing is, like, nothing looked downright hideous.
Right.
You know, like, there's some gear and FF14.
There's some dog shit helmets and face masks in that game.
No, I turn that shit off. No one wears a helmet.
No, but no.
But like, there's some ugly ass shit in FF14.
Yeah.
there was nothing in Stranger Paradise that I'm like, this is hideous. Mm-hmm. But there was also nothing that I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm going to keep Jack in this forever.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing to really incentivize you to keep leveling an outfit to keep Jack in it forever. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, this is awful. I'm going to put on something else that's kind of awful. And we're just going to keep chugging along.
Yep.
And that's Stranger of Paradise basically in a nutshell. But it's good. Somehow I came out of it really liking the whole experience, which is insane.
It's a wax museum of a video game. It's a weird tourist trap of a video game.
Yeah, because all of the characters look like horrifying.
They do.
Wax models, just dead-eyed dolls.
But no, I mean, I had a lot of fun. You're right, Pugilist is like the best class.
Best class.
But I was also surprised at how much I mixed it up, because usually, when you have options, like, I tend to stick with like a small handful of things I really like.
Mm-hmm.
But I was surprised at how much I was, mixing it up and trying out new things and really exploring the movesets of each class.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, part of that comes from the fact that you're encouraged, if you want to keep leveling something, then you've got to keep mixing classes up so that you're unlocking new classes. Because it's like, well, yeah, that you might have your little stable of classes that you like, but then you look at the skill tree and, there's something in there that sounds even more interesting. So now you've got to go level a berserker, or you have to level like a monk or whatever.
Yeah.
To get to this next thing. And it's like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. It's a very, like, that part of the system is pretty smart. It's not like an overly elaborate skill tree. It's all pretty simple things. It's like, okay, yeah. This all groks,
Yeah, and there's, like I said, there's enough like save points. I fucking love every time, like, hey, look, there's some cubes.
And it's just like, who says that? It's just like, there's some cubes. What does that mean, guys?
But there's enough of those around that it's like, it's easy to swap, it's easy to level stuff up, and you're just constantly getting points to upgrade. So you're just always on the move.
Yeah, it's good.
Great little game. I was right in that the bit where they show the end of FF1, like of the heroes on the hill, was like in the middle of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I like I like that. I like the ending of everybody just getting to be evil together, but like in a fun, like, they're like, no, we're gonna be bad guys now, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Also the implication, because of the time shenanigans in FF1, they do get their happy ending. at
They
the
do.
end.
That's true. Yeah.
The true warriors of light prevent all that from happening. They prevent Garland from going evil.
That's true. Oh my god, you're so right. So ultimately, at some point, see, that's why we need a sequel.
Yeah.
I would love a sequel, please. I think that'd be cool. It'd be fun to have new characters and have Jack be a boss instead of like the playable character. I think it'd be fun to have like a new cast of 4 and Jack is a boss that you have to contend with, and then things go off the fucking rails again.
Yeah.
And that would be a true remake of Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
In the way that Final Fantasy 7 remake is a remake, where it's like, okay, well, here's the plot you think you know, and it's gonna go completely insane. It's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
I would love that. Absolutely.
I would love to play the Warrior of Light and be haunted by Jack.
Yeah. Actually, I think that actually sounds really sick. I would love to play a video. I would love to play a Neo-like / Souls-like game where you play the classical Warrior of Light design, but he can keep putting on increasingly more dogshit outfits instead of his classical mono armor. I think that's funny and good.
Very important that he can do that.
Yeah, and he keeps on. You put a fedora on Elidibus, is what I'm saying. Oh god.
No, I was really compelled with this game. I thought it was a ton of fun. It is also just genuinely hilarious. I think the funniest fucking cutscene in the entire game is when Jack just goes, "I don't give a fuck who you are."
Just like screaming with joy. The part where he just cuts Astos off, like, nope, don't care. I love him. I think he's an extremely funny character with a bigger heart than you realize, which is what really sells it kind of ties everything going on with this extremely 7th gen protagonist. It all ties it together in a way that makes him fun and goofy instead of annoying and reprehensible. Yeah,
you can really get, as you progress in the game and get the little hints of it, you can get why Jed and Ash like him so much.
Yeah, he's just like a weird, fun guy, right?
Yeah. It's like, why do you like it now outside, you're like, why do you hang out with this guy? And then like, you just don't get it. If you only,
you just don't understand.
If you only talk to him at like he's the kind of guy, like if you only talk to him at like a party, you wouldn't get it.
Yeah, but no, you gotta hang out with him.
If you've known him since high school, then it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's like, no, this guy, it's like, he's actually really funny. And they're like, him? Yeah, I promise. He's extremely funny. You just gotta hang out with him for a couple days. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we didn't even talk about it, but like to wrap things up, every glory kill is so fucking good in this game.
All of the glory kills are very good. Except for the one with the Tonberry, because please leave my boys alone. I hate that one.
That one's so distressing.
It's so distressing. I don't like it. Don't do my boys. Put your hands on. No.
You just want. What was it? KZ tweeted where it's like, "Oh my god, Jack from Stranger in Paradise. I'm such a big fan. Wait, what are you doing? No."
Yeah.
I like the one with the elementals where you knock them down and then Jack picks up their orb bottom and smashes it on top of them.
Just the ones where he like grabs something by their fucking jaws and just like rips them in half. It's great. It's great.
He grabs those bats, and the bats are the fucking most annoying enemy because of their sonic wave attack.
Yeah.
That just stun locks you forever. And he just fucking football spikes them.
It's extremely good. No, they're all very, very good.
Oh, the magic guard system is so cool.
Magic guard is good. Extremely handy to know that it renews when you swap classes.
Yeah. And then if you just kind of start, for me it was like, once I realized that it's not just special attacks, it can parry every attack.
Right.
It's like a switch flipped in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this forever now.
Yeah, you can just use it for everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you just get good enough to pick up timing, then it'll regen before it runs out, and you won't ever get hit by anything.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of like the whole like managing the game itself, and when the difficulty does kind of spike, is learning how to get good at that. And it's good. There's a lot of really good systems in here that I would like to see kind of brought over and refined a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely delightful game.
Surprisingly a joy. Was not expecting that whatsoever, and I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's goaty, but I like it a lot. So
no, I don't think it's goaty, but I think it'll be a strong runner-up.
Sure. Well, okay.
Yeah, I think that's about all I have. Let me just take a quick look. Yeah, no, that's about it. I covered everything on my notes for that.
Yeah, I don't have like a lot of like super like interesting things, like very deep things to say. It's just like, hey, this is a good game that actually has an interesting little plot hook in the last 40% that I think is justification enough to play the slightly slower initial 60%. Like I think it the back end of Stranger of Paradise is good enough to kind of justify some stuff in the beginning that might be kind of a slog, right?
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is it made me want to replay FF1.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of sell it. Is like it actually makes you want to replay FF1 and kind of imagine the possibility of a lavish 3D Final Fantasy 1 remake with a Neo battle system. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. But that's it. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you to DJ Cutman for use of background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. And if you want to listen to Sara talk about other things, you can listen to her other podcasts.
Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. We do different systems. Like we have multiple games going that are operating different systems. It's really fun. Right now, we just finished up our Masks block. Masks, a new generation, where we play as young superheroes trying to make our way in the world. We had an extremely explosive season finale that is great. I highly recommend you listen to it. You can find us at Big Gay Nerds, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. And go check it out. Listen to that whole block and enjoy how it ends, because we had a really good time with it, and it seems like everybody else did too. So yeah.
All right, that'll do it for us.
Man, what you got? Fuck those bat enemies.
Fuck those bats.
Fuck any kind of stun locking anything in anything vaguely FromSoft adjacent, right? Like that's all. I don't like any of it, but especially that.
It was very fun to magic guard them and trap them in their own sonic attack.
That's true. Yeah. Fuck that shit.
But fuck those bats. They sucked every time because they're so fucking small too. My attacks would miss them and it sucked.
Yeah, no. Any like smallish enemy in these games is just like, no, I'm using big wide swings. I don't like this.
Yeah. One final thing. I forgot to mention this, but I love that one of the pre-battle quotes is Jack going, "Let's knock him down."
I will say, the other thing is that Jack only has like 3 lines when he changes classes. He needs more.
He does need a few more.
In the sequel, he needed at least like 7 or 8 to kind of mix that up. Because boy, that's another thing you get tired of hearing after however many hours it takes you to beat this game.
Yeah.
That's my free suggestion to you, Square Enix, for the next one.
All right, that'll be it.
Good night, everyone.